Hello and welcome back to the classes of Mastering Biology. Let's learn it in an easy way. So here we are to start with the second chapter of biology, which says control and coordination. Control means something which is regulating or which is helping particular structures to do their functioning. All right. And when we say the word coordination, then you know that in our body, usually what happens when we are doing one activity, more than one organs are involved. So there has to be a synchronization between them. There has to be a coordination between them. So that is why we say the word control and coordination. All right. So coordination actually means synchronization between different organs to perform one common function. Because sometimes a particular activity involves more than one organ. Right. Now, when I talk about plants, when I talk about animals, there are different levels of control and coordination. In case of plants, when we see plants do not move from one place to other. Yes, they bend along the direction of the wind, but they do not show any kind of movement. All right, they do not move at all. So they need a different level of coordination. But in case of animals, you know what? In case of animals, we move from one place to other. And when we are moving, we are also doing certain activities. All right. For that, the coordination is required in between them. All right. And that is why plants and animals have different systems which are actually helping in this process of control and coordination. Plants do not have any nervous system. No nervous system is present. But there has to be some control in the activities because plants need to do so many things. They need to grow, they need to transport substances, right? So they have the plant hormones or the phytohormones. The word phyto stands for plant. When we talk about animals, animals have both the nervous system and the hormonal system in the name of endocrine system. And the nervous system and the endocrine system are collectively called as the neurocrine system. All right. So plants only have the hormonal control, whereas animals have both the nervous control and the endocrine system control. So that is a combination of a neurocrine system. All right. Now you know that animals run, walk. If I talk about human beings, we do so many activities. We are writing. Now at the moment when you're listening to my video, you are taking down the notes, you're listening to me at the same time and also paying attention on board what is being written. So that means your hand, mind and ears have to work in coordination. They have to be synchronized. Otherwise, it won't be easy for you to observe the board, then listen to me at the same moment and you are writing, making notes. I'm sure you're making notes of the class. All right. So this is an overview of why control and coordination is required. Control and coordination is required for the proper functioning of an organism. All right. For that, plants have hormones and animals have the nervous system as well as the hormonal system in the name of endocrine system that is collectively known as the neurocrine system. All right. Next, let us start with the nervous system. All right. Now, human beings have to actually, they have to carry messages within the body from one part of the body to the other. All right. And there are different kind of mechanisms taking place. Now, everywhere you must have heard that the nervous system in case of human beings comprises of brain and the spinal cord. All right. But what is actually which is connecting these two main organs to different organs of the body, and they are the neurons. Neurons are the structural and functional unit of the nervous system. All right. So structural and functional unit of the nervous system is neuron. Please don't get confused with nephron. Nephron is the structural functional unit of kidneys. Neuron, which is also known as the nerve cells. Neurons are also known as the nerve cells. All right. Now these neurons, let us have a look at the structure of the neuron. The neuron structurally has two main parts. One is the cell body and other is the cell processes. One is the cell body and other is the cell processes. Now, when I say the cell body is known as the cyton, which is the main part, or main part in the sense it has the nucleus. All right. So cyton has a nucleus. It has dense cytoplasm. Along with the presence of cytoplasm are Nissls granules. And these Nissls granules are the clusters of RER and ribosomes. All right. So cyton, or the cell body, what does it have? It has a nucleus. It has Nissls granules and it has cytoplasm. So these are all the characteristics of this part, which we call it as the cell body or the cyton. The second I told you is the cell processes. These cell processes are of two types. I'm mentioning them here only, and they are dendrites dendrons and axon. So dendrons, dendrites and axons. The finer branches that are coming up here, these are known as dendrites. These structures here are known as dendrons, and this long structure that you see, I label it here, this is known as axon. So these are the cell processes. So now you can clearly see the two parts of a neuron, the cyton or the cell body and the cell processes. The cell processes have been further divided into dendrons and dendrites and axon. Now dendrons are the structures which arise immediately from the cyton or the cell body, and they further divide into finer branches which are known as dendrites. All right. Now, these dendrons and dendrites are known as afferent processes. Now, just to recall, you have already heard these words afferent and efferent. Where? If you have missed it out, please check my video of excretion, where I have told that the word afferent refers which carries information towards something, so towards the cytone or the cell body, and something which is carrying information away from the cytone or the cell body, which is axon. This is the efferent process. So afferent process and efferent process. Clear? So these are the two terms that again you can refer to here. All right. Now let us further proceed with the structure of axon. Axon is approximately 1 meter in length, making it the longest animal cell. It is the length of the axon which imparts this to the length to the nerve cell, the longest cell. All right. Now, the axon is kept covered, or axon has Schwann cells. These Schwann cells secrete or synthesize, they release a chemical and they form a layer inside which is known as the myelin sheath. Such neurons which have myelin sheath are known as myelinated neurons. So myelin is a fatty tissue, which is fatty layer which is secreted to the inner side of the Schwann cells, and they act as insulators. They prevent the signals from being lost. And such neurons which have myelin sheath, they are known as myelinated neuron. These are the myelinated neurons. So the pink lining that I've drawn is of the myelin sheath. The outer one, the green ones, are the Schwann cells. Yes, the secretion of myelin takes place on the inner side. Now you can see that there is some gap left in between the Schwann cells. Can you see? The some gap which is left here, this point is known as, just let me make it a little lighter. This point is known as node of Ranvier. This is the node of Ranvier. So, cell processes have dendrites and dendrons which carry information or messages towards the neuron, towards the cytone, and so they are called afferent process. Axon carries the information away from the cell body because it has to carry the information to other neuron or maybe to some effector muscle. So that is why it is called as an efferent process, the approximate length being 1 meter, and this makes neuron as the longest cell of the animal body. The cells of the neuron are known as Schwann cells, which are present over axons, and these Schwann cells then secrete myelin sheath, which makes it insulated from the signal being lost. All right, the impulse which is being carried through this neuron is not lost. Because of this, then the gap, there are some places where the myelin sheath is not present, and that gap is known as node of Ranvier. The axon now divides into branches which are known as axon terminals, which ends into the knob-like structures which are known as synaptic knobs. These knob-like structures, they are known as synaptic knobs. The axon divides into many branches. They are known as axon terminals, and ultimately they end into these knob-like structures which are known as the synaptic knobs. Function of the synaptic knobs I will discuss when I tell you about in detail, when I tell you about the transmission of the electrical impulse. But for now, you need to know that these synaptic knobs hold certain chemicals, and these chemicals are known as the neurotransmitters. So some chemicals are present here in the synaptic knobs. So this is the overall structure of the neuron, and you should know everything about it. All right. This can be asked as a descriptive question, or only the diagram can also be asked. But this is an important part. Now, how you will present your answer, just to explain you that part, I will just add one more slide to it. And how you will write neuron has two parts, the cell body, which is known as cyton, then the cell processes, and these cell processes are of two types, the dendrites, the dendrons, and axon. All right. Cyton, what all it has? It has cytoplasm, prominent nucleus, Nissls granules. All right. So these 3 points you can write about cyton or the cell body. Then dendrons and dendrites are cell processes. They are afferent processes which carry the stimulus towards cyton. Fine. Then when I say axon are efferent processes. All right. And these efferent processes carry information, or they carry stimulus away from the cyton or the cell body. So basic structure you can write like this, and then you can write axon measures up to 1 meter in length, making it the longest cell of the animal body. And then in a separate paragraph, you can give the heading as axon, and you can write the pointers about it, that it has Schwann cells which secrete myelin sheath, then the myelin sheath acts as an insulator preventing the loss of impulse All right. Then you can talk about places where myelin sheath is absent. This is known as nodes of Ranvier. Clear? And then you can also talk about that axon branches into axonal or axon terminals, which end up into knob-like structures known as synaptic knobs. All right. So the knob-like structures which were present at the end were known as synaptic knobs. Now, what do these synaptic knobs have? They have chemicals known as neurotransmitters. Neurotransmitters. Now, these neurotransmitters will help in passing of impulse from one neuron to the next neuron, of which I will talk about when we are understanding the topic transmission of electrical impulse. Then I will talk how these neurotransmitters are helping in passing of the information, passing on the impulse from one neuron to the next neuron to the next neuron, because these have to form a passage for the impulse. Clear? So this is what you should be knowing. Now, since it is a nerve cell, so it should have something on its outside, yes? So the axon on the outer side is covered with a membrane which is known as the neurolemma. Because it is a nerve cell, so we are using the word neuri. So here the yellow part which I am drawing is the neurolemma. This one. This is the neurolemma. Lemma word is for membrane and neuri word is for neuron. So the membrane of neuron is known as neurolemma, which is present around the axon. I hope I am clear with this explanation of the structure of neuron. We shall now study the transmission of electrical impulse. Till then, keep revising and do ask your doubts in the comment box.